chosen one!
Always hold on to Smallville.
Avengers,
Assemble.
Welcome to Nerd City Central, and we are excited. Curry and I are going to be talking about our favorite television show of all time, Smallville, the epic.
With the farm background.
Oh, bruh, the farm just brings so many good memories, man. So Smallville was on for me. If you don't know what Smallville is the prequel of how Clark Kent becomes the Man of Steel, becomes Superman. So it was on for 10 seasons from October 16th, 2001 to May 13th, 2011. So 10 wonderful, heartbreaking, exciting, just beautifully made seasons of Superman goodness. Curry, what does this show mean to you, man?
Oh my gosh. What a question. This show, it means my formative years.
Yes.
It came on when I was in first grade and went off when I was in 11th grade.
Such a baby.
Yes. And I didn't start watching until I was like season 3 or so because I was so young. But it's my formative years. I remember like feeling with Clark when he had heartbreak because I had heartbreak, or the high school drama because I had high school drama, or just the relatable struggles of growing up and like going from Superman being someone I kind of liked to him being my favorite. Like
favorite Superman, yes.
I mean, I've met several of the actors in real life, shameless plug, and just seeing them and getting to relive that, it just those memories, and it's my adolescence.
Yeah.
So much with Smallville. But not only that, it's the show where so many DC heroes got their start in live action. And
Cyborg.
Yeah.
Aquaman.
It paved the way for so much. And man, it just, not only that, it's just the storytelling is phenomenal. And I relate to it every day. I grew up with the show.
Same, man. So
as the show matured, I matured.
Amen. Okay, so for me, it was on from my 6th grade year. I think I was 6, man. Or 6th grade, excuse me. All the way up until past my high school.
Bro, you old.
Yeah, man, But yeah, man, I watched Smallville, man. It was my formative years. It was my middle school, high school, and then even post high school years. So when I graduated high school, season 6, I went off air. So I was, it was on from 7 through 10. So another, 4 years, 4 seasons. If just my life, man. So I love Smallville. I still love Smallville. And as you can see, always hold on to Smallville, man. Always hold on to Smallville.
I'm kind of jealous of that. I'm not going to lie.
I got it made just for my office, man. Always hold on to Smallville. I think that Jonathan Kent, when he says that in the series finale, and by the way, there's going to be spoilers in this video. So if you have not watched it and you are watching it, I would encourage you to not watch this video until after you finish. Still hit that like button, hit that subscribe button because it's still going to be good, but come back and watch it after you're done with the show. We don't want to spoil anything for you. But yeah, man, this show for me, Jonathan Kent was such an amazing television father. I've learned lessons. I learned lessons from Jonathan Kent and how he parented when I was in middle and high school and post-high school. And now again, I started this show when I was in middle school. Now I'm a father of 3 boys. And the way that Jonathan Kent parented impacts the way that I parent. So I'm holding on to Smallville in a very practical sense because some of the lessons that I learned, I'm now passing on to my children. For instance, chores. One thing that Jonathan says in season 10, episode 1, he goes, chores, Clark, it keeps a man honest. And I remember telling my son that when he was working, maybe he didn't want to work or something like that, but I said, hey, son, chores keeps a man honest. It helps him to work hard. It's a good thing to have to work with your hands. Chores keeps a man honest. So I'm just, I'm pouring what I've learned from Smallville into my own children and watching them grow from, these young boys into young men. So yeah, man, Smallville for me, just a lot of life lessons, things that even as a Christian, I'm looking at. I'm like, there's some Christian themes in Smallville.
In the finale, spoiler alert, in the finale, you have a Father, Son, Holy Spirit, whole thing going on, allegory.
In the fortress, yeah.
Yeah, in the fortress. I love that. I could talk about that for days. And another thing I wanted to mention, I watched through this. I have all the DVD. I have the full DVD set out there.
Same, baby. Same.
Yeah, and I want to upgrade to Blu-ray when I can. But when my wife and I were dating, she knew it was my favorite show, and we were trying to figure out to watch one night. She's like, well, do you want me to start Smallville with you? And that's when I knew I was going to marry this woman. And she watched all 10 seasons with me, man, before we were even married.
Okay, so I was married, and my wife knows how much Smallville means to me. So she watched all 10 seasons, but we made a pact. If I watch all 10 seasons of Smallville, you have to watch all 9 seasons of The Office. So I was like, okay. And we both ended up loving both. So she loves Smallville, and I love The Office. So it worked out great for us. And this was our first year of being married. And it's just I look back on that time with such fondness, man, sharing my love of Smallville with my wife and now my sons. And it's amazing. It's a show that I'll love to the day I die.
Bro, we are a dyad in the force. That was the deal my wife and I made. She watched all of Smallville with me if I would have watched all of The Office and Parks and Rec.
What? Hey, we essentially are a dyad in the forest, two that are one. We are two opposites in this nerdom, but we're one, bro. Dyad.
West Coast, East Coast come together, and we're nerds.
Hey, so guys, listen, we got something special for you. This past week, May 13th, was the 10-year anniversary of Smallville going off air. It's a show that we love. I miss it. Please bring back an animated season 11. If you guys have not checked it out, read the season 11 comic books.
They're so good, seriously.
It's a perfect continuation.
Love it.
It's amazing. It's basically Superman year one with Clark from Smallville. So, and it is canon. It's canon according to WB. So listen, what we're going to go ahead and do.
And not like that other cameo that we don't talk about, right?
Oh, you mean that's Legends? That's not canon. That's Legends. Yeah. You talking about from the Arrowverse? That's the Arrowverse Clark Kent. That's not Smallville. Smallville ended at the end of season 11.
Hey, we don't do that here.
Hey, Black Panther. We don't do that here. We don't give them powers.
That was my terrible Wakandan accent for the day, by the way.
It's not like I can do any better. With that being said, y'all, shout out to our boy Chadwick Boseman, a Christian. Can't wait to meet that brother in heaven. We're gonna get started. So today we're gonna be going through in honor of Smallville and its 10-year anniversary of being off the air, the series finale. We're gonna be going through our top 5 episodes from from 5 to 1, from least favorite to most favorite. But again, they're top 5 episodes, so they're all our favorite. With that being said, there was 218 episodes in Smallville. Choosing 5 is a very hard task because there's so many episodes that we love and hold dear, but we have chosen our top 5 episodes, and we're going to run through them. We're going to try to run through them quickly. Our encouragement is that we whet you quickly, right? Whet your appetite to go watch the show yourself, and we're going to try to finish up in about 20 to 25 minutes so we don't keep y'all long. So, Curry, start us off, baby. What is your number 5 episode?
My number 5 episode is season 4 finale, Commencement. Man, I remember when this one came on, they marketed it as like an event. They were like, it's a 2-hour time block on TV because it's like a 55-minute episode. It's a little bit longer. And then at the end, they had like a 10-minute Batman Begins preview. I just remember that being a thing on the air.
Dope.
And this is the one where they, if you're not familiar, this is one where they graduate high school and it's the second meteor shower.
Yeah.
And I just remember like this episode has some of the best cliffhangers for each and every character. Like you have the Kents in the house with the meteor coming in through and crushing Dean Winchester. And then he got transported to Supernatural through that special meteor. Sorry, it's just funny. You have Chloe getting teleported to the Arctic. You have Lex stuck in the cave, seeing that happen. You have Lana seeing the other Kryptonian ship, and Clark throwing the crystal to build the Fortress of Solitude. And I just remember like it feeling, and there's like a countdown in the episode, like another meteor shower, because like that started the whole series. Like it was just a big deal, and I remember like watching it on TV, like, oh my gosh, this is getting crazy.
Yeah,
and I just have a lot of fond memories of it, and I think that's a top fiver for me for sure. And I think what I wanted to say earlier was that this top five for me, like, this is for now. I'm not committing to this being my solid top five forever. We can say that on video for this one, but as of right now, these are my top five.
Nice.
What about you, man? What's your number five?
Yeah, I'll stick with that too. This is my top five for now, but I think it's a pretty solid top five that I've had for a while now. My number five is Reckoning, season 5, episode 12, the 100th episode of Smallville, and it's the episode where Jonathan Kent dies. And it breaks my heart. The last two scenes with Martha and Clark and at the funeral, and Peter Gabriel's I Grieve playing, and you see Lionel still kind of like Lionel's right there next to Martha and definitely checking her out. So I'm like, dude, you're such a Luther. And Clark tells Lana his secret, proposes, and it's happy. It's a happy time. Jonathan wins the senator race. He's the senator for Kansas, and he's beaten Lex Luthor. And then everything just goes downhill. Lana gets into a car accident and dies. Clark goes back in time, even though Jor-El says, if you do this, the universe is going to take someone else's life because I have to give you back your life at the beginning of the season. So watching Clark make that decision, knowing.
Wait, I thought it was just because like if he saves somebody else has to die.
Yes, but it ultimately goes back to when he gave up his powers in season 5, episode 1, the premiere. When Jor-El tells him, you need to come back to the fortress to start your training. And if you don't come back before the yellow sun sets, something bad is going to happen. And he gets his powers taken away because he chooses to save Lana. So at the, maybe 2-3 episodes later, I think it's 2 episodes later, he gets shot and dies. Jor-El, in the body of Lionel, brings him back and says, because I've given you your life force, because your destiny is too great, the life force of someone you love close to you is going to be taken in exchange. So the whole season up to that point.
I forgot about that. I'm glad you said that.
The whole season is kind of leading up to who's going to die. And Clark is nervous, like, is she going to die? Is he going to die? And it ends up being Lana. He changes it. Jor-El says you can get one redo, and Jonathan Kent dies. Yeah. So for me, that's my number 5. I thought it was an excellent 100th episode, an excellent episode, period. And just seeing Jonathan Kent, the man that I looked up to and still do, die in such a horrible way, it's tough, man. So love it.
Yeah.
Curry, you're number 4, my friend.
Yeah, good pick, man. My number 4 is season 7, episode 16, Descent.
Ooh, that's so good.
This is the episode this is like the best Luthor episode, I think, because, well, one of them at least. This is where Lex completely, fully, truly embraces the fact that he is the villain of the story. And he already had been for some time, right? At this point, like, he was kind of wishy-washy back and forth, but this was where he was like, no, I'm crossing the line into the darkness. I'm stepping into that abyss.
Yeah.
Which is funny because the first, like, main big bad of the show, Lionel, makes his transition to hero here.
Yeah.
Dying to protect Clark.
Yeah.
So while it is Lex's descent into darkness, it's Lionel's ascension, like, fully completed into the light.
Yeah.
He dies saving someone else. And what does the Bible teach us? There's no greater love than this, the man laid down his life for his friends. So for me, as a Christian, that speaks volumes. Like, his love for Clark was tremendous, but that love for Clark drove Lex to kill him because he not only was he jealous, but he was just tired of the abuse from his father as a kid, and his madness took over. But just the entire episode, this is some of the best Clark and Lex dialogue of the entire show. They finally confront each other on so many issues. And I think it has one of the most powerful scenes too. Is at the end, Lex closes the funeral off to everyone.
And Clark shows up.
Clark shows up, despite what Lionel did. I mean, his dad had a heart attack because Lionel and he got into a fight. Like, I mean, that was part of it. And the fact that Clark forgives him,
yes,
and shows up to the funeral, and they have that stare off. I mean, I got chills talking about it. It was
and
just
he does the same thing that he did at Jonathan's funeral. He gets the dirt and pours it over the casket. If you watch closely, he mouths the words "Thank you," and you see the sunlight come through. So it's almost him embracing Lionel as like a second or third father figure.
Yeah, it's awesome. So that's my number 4, man. Descent, best Lex episode for sure.
Love it. My number 4, Exile, season 3, episode 1, the premiere episode of season 3.
Good choice,
man. The intro is amazing. You know, you see Clark walking down the street with the red kryptonite ring, steals the money, buys the car, takes the girl, goes to the club, leaves the girl, and he walks out to the phone booth. And his scar that his father gave him, the family crest, the House of L, the S that we know, starts to burn, and he, in the phone booth. And when he calls Martha, he takes off the ring, he calls his mom, and it's that beautiful moment. And she's like, please, she goes, Clark, if it's you, Clark, please come home. And Clark wants to cry because he still feels guilty for his actions in the season 2 finale. And he puts the ring on and he turns evil again. He loses the inhibitions. From Morgan Edge to him, fighting Jonathan really quickly at the end.
As a 17-year-old, but
dude, it's so incredible, man. I love this episode. And then when Clark goes to see Martha and Jonathan in the barn, and he's hiding up there, and Martha and Jonathan having that really sweet moment where Jonathan's, again, I love Jonathan Kent, is reassuring his wife like a good husband, I promise you we're going to have happy times again. And Clark hits that thing on the ground, hits a pitcher, and that whole, I think it's Train, I need a sign, let me know you're here. And that whole, the whole montage, that whole scene is beautiful, where Lana finally meets up with Clark. It's like, I'm not going to let you ride away from me again. Right out of my life. And he's like, well, get on. And I'm like, oh, Kal-El Krypton. It's so good. It's so good. So, yeah, man, that's my number 4. I loved it. I thought season 3 is one of my favorite seasons. It's like maybe top 3, top 4. And it was just so good, man. So Exile for me was amazing. Then having Jonathan take on powers to bring his son home, which starts his descent for his health. It leads to his death in season 5. No greater love that a man has than he laid down his life for not only his friend, but his son.
Yeah. And I love too when he says, like, you're coming home with me. And then 7 years later in season 10, when Connor can't Superboy punches Clark, and he just stands up, he's like, you're coming home with me. Like, he fills his father's shoes. I don't know if you ever noticed that.
I never thought about that, bro.
When he goes to get Connor, he says the same thing his dad said to him when he went rogue. So good,
man. Best show.
Also, you brought it up. I got the soundtrack in this show. It had the best music growing up. Like
music growing up.
Every song that I loved at the time. Like,
yes,
always used it.
Lifehouse, Rascal Flatts, Train, Apocalypse,
like everybody.
AFI, bro. They even had Bow Wow. A little Bow Wow back in the day, bro. Season 6.
Yep.
Oh, man. So, hey, what's your number 3, baby?
My number 3, and I hope this one doesn't hurt you, but my number 3 is Finale.
Oh, I think that's a good placement, man.
Yeah, and that is the series finale. And, I debated pushing this one back because let me just say this episode, there are a couple small things that are rushed, right? Like Superman pushing Apocalypse out of the way is a little anticlimactic. I understand with budgetary constraints they did what they had to do. And I don't care what anyone says. It is rather unfortunate we don't get a full suit look at Tom Welling, like in the suit, like cape and everything. But that being said, and I also don't like. I'll get to this. Zombie Lionel, but we'll get to that because I know now that I know more about Darkseid, and Darkseid can take the host bodies, and Uxas is just a host. I'm more okay with it. And season 11 kind of fixes it. Talks about he was weak at the time anyway, so I'm okay with it. It was just a little anticlimactic. He only kind of threw him or flew through him, but the show was never about him being Superman or seeing him in the suit. We were never promised that from the beginning. We were told no flights, no tights. We got So while it is a little disappointing, Tom Welling stuck to his guts and stuck to the vision, and it gets 98% right where it gets 2% wrong. The emotional character building that is built to in this episode with the romance with Lois.
So good.
The wedding.
The wedding, yes.
How he convinces Oliver that he's not this evil person, and he's able to get rid of the Darkseid insignia, the Omega thing. And probably some of my favorite scenes in the show are right before he goes to the fortress, and he has that moment where he's seeing Jonathan, and he's talking with his mom, and Jonathan hesitates and puts his hand on her shoulder, and then he goes, and that scene where he gets the suit, and Jor-El's like, "You honor me," and he envisions his dad giving him the suit. It's so good. And then they did the perfect build up to him being able to fly, with him remembering all the trials he went through, and he finally accepts who he is, what he has to do, and that he can hold on to these memories. He finally gets it fully and embraces who he is and wins the day. So, man, I could go on and on about it, but I stayed up till like 4 a.m. back in the day watching because I wasn't able to watch it on TV, and I still love it to this day. It's as near perfect to a finale as you can get.
Yeah. All right, man. So my number 3, and I have more to say on finale later, but my number 3, Homecoming. Season 10, episode 4, the 200th episode of Smallville. Clark gets an invitation to go back to Smallville for a high school reunion. And Lois convinces him to go. Clark's kind of down in the dumps. And while he's there, Brainiac, his old villain, comes from the future, and he's Brainiac 5. He is now a hero with the Legion. What do they call it? The Legion? The
Legion of Superheroes, yeah.
Legion of Superheroes, thank you. The Legion. And he comes and he takes Clark on almost like a little time travel period where they go into the past, and Clark has to deal with his father's death and start to release his guilt for that. And he takes him to the future, and he sees himself as Superman, and I love it. He sees that Lois knows his secret, and she is supportive, and he sees what he becomes. There's a really funny scene where Clark that we know in season 10 is having a conversation with his older future Superman self. And Clark's like, man, why am I such a stick in the mud? Why am I so stiff? And it's like, bro, you're still stiff even now. I love just seeing Clark finally start to slowly embrace his destiny when him and Lois are dancing in the barn at the end, and he starts to float, showing that he's starting to ascend to be Superman. Guys, there is a villain from season 1, I think it's episode 2, the Arachnid. And it's one of the first meteor freaks that Clark stops from hurting others. And he comes back in this episode. And you think he's going to hurt Lois. And he goes, I have a message for Clark. Tell Clark, thank you for helping me so long ago. He's changed my life. He saved my life. And it just shows you the hope that Superman inspires, even in his enemies, to help them turn into heroes, to help them turn into who they are meant to be, and to lead better lives as better men and women. So for me, Homecoming was such a beautiful 200th episode, seeing the flashbacks to the first season, first episode with Chloe in the Wall of Weird, to Lana asking him, so what are you, man or Superman? It's amazing. It's amazing. That's my number 3. So, Curry, you're number 2, my friend.
My number 2 is what I would describe as the most underrated Smallville episode ever. And it actually used to be my number 1, but I had to be honest with myself. And that is the season 9 finale, Salvation.
Okay.
So,
Hey, there's something for everybody in Smallville. Go ahead, buddy.
dude, season 9 is, again, the most underrated season of Smallville because Clark's journey in this season is probably the most important one he takes in the entire history of the show. Because he goes at the beginning of the season to cutting himself off from humanity. He pulls a Luke Skywalker at the end of season 8 and walks away from everything while still saving people, to at the end sacrificing himself for humanity after having a vision of himself as Superman in the future. And he gives up his life for the world, for his greater destiny, after like being encouraged to step out into light. But that aside, everything about this episode like comes to it. It opens with him. He gets the suit for Martha in this. He gets the suit. And then it does that flash forward to the future where you see him like saving the helicopter and the Daily Planet.
And Dr. Fate, your fate is utterly binding. Or something. I was like,
Unless the cameo from Crisis is true. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's another reason why I don't hold Crisis to be canon.
Yeah. There's just his relationship with Lois. He realizes he's going to have to sacrifice himself for the Kandorians to go. And so he's trying to tell Lois how he feels. And she talks about her trip to Kenya. And he's just like, you know what? This is the best way for me to let her go. And he refuses to tell her a secret. And she goes off distraught. And then later on, I was always kind of like, Lois, it's kind of whack how you were just going to make out with the Blur. But technically, I guess they'd broken up. But that's him saying, it's me. It's okay. This is me telling you goodbye. And Lois finally finds out his secret. He does the best super punch to Zod in this episode.
You mean when
he walks up?
Yeah!
I love the detail. They show him like flying away. And then Smallville isn't known for its fight scenes. So the fact that Zod, they're all being transported away and Zod pulls out a blue kryptonite knife and we get a fist fight in the rain between the two of them, with it ending with him outsmarting Zod, taking the knife to the chest and falling off the building in the shape of a cross.
Hey,
right?
There's a reason why this episode is called what? Salvation or Savior?
Salvation.
Yeah, Salvation. So I'm like very much Christ-centered themes.
My friend who never watched the show watched this episode with me when it came on, and like when that cliffhanger happened, it's probably one of the biggest cliffhangers like in the show in terms of like it just ends with Clark being stabbed, powerless, falling off a skyscraper. The character work is excellent. So much happens. It's a great cap off to Zod's story, and it sets up the final season, that final little part of his journey. He's ready to take that next step.
Yeah.
He's now at a place where he can start transitioning to his destiny of becoming Superman. So that's my number 2, man, and I will defend it all day.
Hey, listen, I'm happy that you loved it. It was for me, probably one of the more disappointing season finales, but there are some great things to loving it.
We're going to have to do an episode where I can tell you why you're wrong.
Hey, bro, listen, let's go for it. I'm down to talk Smallville any day.
Any day.
So for me, my number 2, Arrival, season 5, episode 1.
Good choice.
Your number 5 or number 4 was Commencement. So I think Arrival 5. Your 5 was Commencement. The next episode, it picks up all the threads that were left in the finale of season 4 and answers them in a masterful way. Lois, Lana, Lex, Lionel, Clark in the fortress. The first time he walks there and you hear Jor-El's voice go, "One journey has ended, another is about to begin. Welcome home, my son." And you see it and it's like, it's so great, man. The Kryptonians that come through, Zod's Kryptonians, and even the last fight with Clark and them it's great. It's a great fight. You see Clark, hit him, and he's, like, I'm not gonna let you hurt Lana, even though that costs him gravely later on. One thing I don't hear a lot of people talk about with the Rival is the moment with Lex and Clark in Clark's destroyed house. This is when he's looking for his parents, and his parents already left. And you see Lex and Clark, and once again, Lex almost he holds out this peace offering. And it's like, Clark, just be honest with me. Be honest with me. And Clark's like, no. Basically, he's not honest with him. And Lex knows. And he's like, if you're really my friend, be honest with me. and Clark doesn't. He's not honest with them.
Yep. And
I was like, oh, because that's going to drive Lex even further into the darkness. Now, there's no pulling Lex out, but it's just the dynamics between them. And Chloe and Clark's conversation in the hospital room, and the way that Chloe reacts to Clark telling her that he's not of this world and that he's an alien.
She was like, what?
No, she goes, you're not just a hero, you're a superhero. And she's like, the love that she has for him as a friend. And when he runs away to help out with the meteor shower, the way she goes, whoa. It's so pure, and it's like a kid, like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. So I loved Arrival. The end scene, man. The end scene when Clark goes to visit Lana and he kissed her. And again, another good song, another great song there. But when she's like, do you believe in aliens, life, and life outside of our universe, outside of our planet? And he goes, yes, I do. And he kisses her and he goes, no more secrets and no more lies. And you're like, maybe for now, but it's not going to stay that way, man. But when he goes for the ship and he looks and the ship is gone and Lex has it, and you see something start to drip out of the ship and it forms into Brainiac. And the way Brainiac looks, and he looks around, I'm like, yo, he's going to be a problem. And sure enough, the man is a problem. So Brainiac was great. This is probably my favorite season premiere.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It made me excited. Season 5 is, I think, my second favorite season of all time.
It's got like some of the best runs of episodes of like consistently through any season. It also has probably the worst episode of Smallville. But
wait, which is
the vampire episode with Lana?
It's not any worse than the baby that they raised in season 4, him and Lana.
No, I'll take the baby over Vampire Lana any day.
Oh, no, I'll take the Vampire Lana over the baby.
Hey, how about Amy Adams eating a deer?
Hey, you got to love the beginning season of Smallville. Listen, you guys got to watch it. There's some bad episodes, but overall it's great. Even the bad episodes just adds to the charm.
Season 7, The Weather Girls. That one is...
The Weather Girls, season 7.
The girls they're like beauty pageant models or whatever. Bruh, it's so bad.
Dog, hey.
Or no. Pete Ross comes back and he can suddenly have stretchy powers because of kryptonite gum. That was another low point.
I actually like that episode a lot.
I like Pete, but that part was dumb.
Oh, the part was dumb. But it's, product placement, man. They got some money for it. So, it's capitalism, baby. Ain't nothing like American capitalism, my friend.
You're not wrong.
Hey, what is your number one, man? What is your number one?
My number one, and this was where I was like, I got to be honest with myself. My number one is Reckoning. Season 5, episode 12. Man, because this is where the show, I think, really changed. This was like, I mean, it's not quite the halfway point, but it's really like there's before Jonathan Kent's death and after.
Yes.
Because everything before is his dad teaching him, helping him, training him, and everything after is him dealing with the aftermath of what his father taught him and how he continues. And as an inclusion with Reckoning, the next episode, Vengeance, isn't all that great.
Oh!
That as an episode is just okay because he's trying to get his father's watch, and there's that cheesy other superhero girl. But
who dies in season 11.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
But there's the scene where Martha's watching the home videotape and Clark's dealing with it. And Jonathan Kent looks at her and says, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hey. This man, this is all going to be his one day. Don't worry about it, Martha. He's a man of steel. And then he goes, Clark, say goodbye to mommy. And he waves, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh,
and
man.
the way that Clark cries, man.
Yeah. Speaking of Clark crying, Reckoning, to me, is the best acting in Smallville from all the cast that it's ever had. When Lana dies in the car accident and Clark and his hands covered in blood, like literally his hands have blood on them, like metaphorically and figuratively, whatever. I guess metaphorically and literally is what I meant. But like his reaction and like it built up to it so well because everything goes so well because he reveals his secret. Finally, Lana finds out. And my wife was like, that's not real. That was a dream. Something bad's going to happen. I was like, just watch the episode, And
hey, you're right, though. Something bad does happen.
And then she dies. And then he tries to change it. And regardless of if it had built up that someone was going to die or not, like the fact that Jor-El says someone else will have to be taken. That's how the laws of the universe works.
We're not God. We're not gods, Kal-El.
Yeah. And then the heartbreak of him having to lie to Lana to protect her. And then they break up. And then Jonathan dies. And to me, this is the best.
Thank you. So you lose your girlfriend and your father.
Yeah. And then he did that to save Lana. And then Jonathan dies. And it's the best Jonathan Kent death like on film or in medium for me. It just has the most weight for me. And then, okay, Lana is the absolute worst. Let's just be honest.
Lana is not Lana seasons 1 through 6.
No.
I'm cool with.
No.
Season 7 Lana, I'm like, all right, it's time to get her off the show.
She was tolerable in the early seasons. She should have brain injuries from the amount of time she's been knocked out or drugged.
Bro, all of them should.
Yeah.
What is their medical bills like? How many cars do they buy? How do they have so much money? What insurance do they have?
Lex just bails everybody out. But Lana was okay. The witch storyline was, man, it was okay.
Hey, that was fun. Hey, that was her, Lois, and Chloe. That was funny.
But that's when I was like, they don't know what to do with Lana, right? Like they were trying to like make
really.
Yeah.
Isabel Margaret Thoreau. I actually like that storyline.
It's okay. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. But anyway.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where I actually started to actually dislike Lana, like actively dislike her. Because all this happens, right? She's tired of Clark's lies. I get it. Then his dad dies. And she holds his hand at the funeral and then just leaves him. And like they're just done. I'm like, you're not going to be there for the guy? Y'all were having a little tiff, I know, but like it's just whack. And then
hold on. No. You hold on.
She marries Lex like half a season later.
She's giving him time. She's giving him time with his mother alone. She's giving Clark time, which is a good thing. She's there. She's holding his hand. But after a while, let you and your mom be alone with your father. That is a very wise decision she made. And Clark understood.
No, he needed her, and she abandoned him.
She did not. I will die on this hill. She did not abandon Clark.
You die on this hill. I'm standing on top of it with my rightness right now.
Yo, dude, but she did not leave him.
She left him.
No. Wow, was that a Palpatine?
It was. It's ironic, but yeah. So
that's kind of straight, little like Palpatine right there. My bad.
Was. We've been talking about Star Wars too much, but yeah, man, Reckoning changed the show forever, and it really was when the people were like, okay, the show matured a lot. And I remember watching it with my wife the second time through. I'm like, I'm not gonna look at her because I don't want to ruin the moment or whatever, like during the funeral. And I'm like weeping, like that episode makes me cry. And I look over when it ends, and she like tears all down her cheeks, eyes are swollen red, and she's like, "This is the worst show ever." So yeah,
it was the episode my mom stopped watching the show because of how sad she was that Jonathan Kent. But that's my mom. She'll stop watching the show if a character she likes really dies. So Grey's Anatomy, when Denny dies, who's John Winchester in Supernatural, when he dies, she stopped watching it. So shout out to my mom. Love you, Mom. For me, my number one finale. It was a beautiful culmination of all 10 seasons. It paid homage to everything. And when Lex and Clark meet again, finally, after 3 years, when Lex meets that,
I was about to say that.
Bro, we can talk. I mean, listen, that scene right there where he goes, he goes, you didn't even want your destiny, your power. I would have been taking it, relished it, embraced it. And Clark looks at him and goes, well, my destiny wasn't yours to take. He goes, oh, I get that now, which is why I finally embraced my own. You and I, we will both be great men because of each other. We have a destiny together, Clark, only on different sides. So it's like he's finally embraced the darkness, and Clark steps up to him and goes, and I'll always be there to stop you, always. And when he goes, oh, I'm counting on it. I'm like, we have Superman and Lex Luthor right here. And they finally realize, and Clark finally embraces, he accepts the fact Lex is gone. And he goes, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. And races away. A lot of things that you already mentioned, I liked.
Also, on that scene, too, I'm so glad you brought that up because that scene is so rich. And, I'm so glad Rosenbaum came back. But when he says, I'm sorry I couldn't save you, Lex, and then rushes off, Lex, is taken aback, and then he smiles because Clark finally was willing to show his powers in front of him. And I think deep down, it's like, oh, well.
And can we talk about Tess Mercer, who I love? Before watching the show, I didn't know that Lex ever had a sister. So when it comes out, her name is Lutessa Luthor, that's a real person in the Smallville canon.
Lutessa, I think she's supposed to be Lena Luthor.
Well, her name in the show is Lutessa Lena Luthor.
Yeah, they come because I think there's another character named Tess from the comics, and they kind of come.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I love Tess. I love that she turns into Red Tornado later on.
Yeah.
Season 11, they do that very well. But man, watching everything, watching Clark. See, I didn't mind. I'm 100% okay with the suit, CGI and all that, because I'm like, I wasn't promised that.
Right.
I was promised no tights, no flights. They gave me flights. They gave me a little bit of tights. I'm happy. And then season 11 helped me out too. But seeing him save Air Force One and seeing Lois become the Lois Lane that we know when she interviews the president, and the way that she smiles at Superman. Yeah, I said it's Superman officially when he's smiling at her from the window and she's smiling back, and he flies away to save, the world. It's so good, man. It's so good. The wedding is beautiful. Sarah Bareilles, her song is a perfect song for that. And watch it when he's walking down the aisle. Makes me want to tear up now. And he looks and he sees his father smiling at him, and he smiles at Jonathan Kent. And Lois goes, everything okay, Smallville? And he goes, perfect. Everything's perfect. And even when he talks to his father, man, at the end, he goes, I turned my back on him, Dad, like I did you. And Jonathan holds him, kisses his head. He goes, he's your father. He'll understand. And that whole scene, that last scene with the Kents in the barn, they're hugging.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like I'm kind of tearing up, man, when he's there and he goes, it's time, son. And he looks at his mom and his dad and he goes, thank you. And he rushes off to save the world.
So good, man.
Bro,
I appreciate. Oh gosh. And two things. One, it's got the best final shot for a series finale ever. Perfect with the Christopher Reeve
music. And then you see Jimmy Olsen.
The real Jimmy Olsen. Well, the real Jimmy Olsen, please stand up.
Hey, and he does, and then you hear Perry White, great Caesar's ghost. And okay, the little flirtation between Lois and him in the stairway.
Oh, so good, man. Are you ready to get married? I've been ready for 7 years, Lois.
Yes. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, Miss Lane. And she's like, Ken and Clark, no one's listening. Yes, Miss Lane. She's like, that's so hot. I was like, I see the heat right there. I loved it, man. But You're right. That final scene with the music is a perfect send-off for Smallville on the television screen. Again, he who must not be named, aka the Crisis cameo, that don't count in my book.
Yeah.
The last live action scene of that Clark was him ripping his shirt open and flying off.
And the second thing I was going to mention too was I appreciate that they dealt with the idea that Lois just knows who Clark is. Like Smallville did that first, before Man of Steel did it. It just helps that whole scenario. And also that they erased Lex's memory. Because I was like, how is this going to go forward if Lex is something doesn't happen?
Bro, yes. And
that neurotoxin thing, wasn't that from an earlier season?
Season 3.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
The Summerhill Institute. But one thing you said, when he finally loses his memory and the lightning, or maybe not lightning, but the Luther Corp sign falls apart and it says LexCorp. And I was like, oh.
Gosh.
We went, listen, I don't know if Miles Millar and Al Goff, or, however you say their names, the creators of Smallville, Tom Welling, Michael Rosenbaum, Kristen Couric, Allison Mack, Sam Jones III, John Schneider, Annette O'Toole, the cast of Smallville, Erica Durance, we want to say thank you. Thank you for giving us a show that it helped define our childhood, and it taught us so much that we use today. And until the day I die, I will always hold on to Smallville, and will teach my kids to hold on to Smallville, because there are so many wonderful life lessons in that show that if you take it and apply it, you will be a better person. 100%.
Yeah, man, I completely agree. And, I think if I could say to them too, and I have said this to a few of them in person.
Shameless plug again, right? Shameless plug, man. You got to always let up me. Go ahead.
Rub that in again. But, even telling them this in person and cracking jokes with Tom Welling. And I went to what they call Smallville Nights. It's a thing that Rosenbaum and Welling do. It's like a comedy night. And it was me and like 70 other people in the room and just like cracking jokes with them. They kept asking people to like raise their hands to like play a role. They were like reading from the script, and they had people play roles, and they would coach and all. And Tom Welling made fun of himself the whole time. And they said, all right, who wants to play Lana? I raised my hand. Like I raised my hand every time. They didn't pick me, unfortunately, but I just told them like each time I was like, thank you for the memories. Thank you for the roles that you played. Thank you for being a show that was there for me when I didn't know I needed someone to be there for me. When I was a bully middle schooler who was so depressed that he was contemplating suicide, that didn't know his own place in the world, and a TV show had a big impact and helped me through some of those times, man. And that was Smallville for me. So thank you to all of you who made Smallville, and you're still impacting us today, even when I met you in person.
And just real quick, something you said, Curry, that hit me. We can close out, man. Isn't it amazing how our Heavenly Father, man, gives us blessings, such as small blessings like Smallville, where He helps form us, gives us hope through the medium of art and entertainment. God speaks in that way to so many, and how we see Christ in so much of Smallville's themes and stories. It's just amazing. Yep. So I just love how God used the cast and the show and the stories of Smallville to help make you the man you are today, man. One of my best friends, and I love you, man. I appreciate you, dude. And yeah, man, we're both very thankful that we have Smallville to bond over and to go back and rewatch and learn again.
Yeah. And man, I just want to add on to what you said too, in thinking about the mediums where these things affect us. It's because of Christ dying and raising from the dead. And we know that story, the greatest story ever told, has influenced every story afterwards, right? In terms of, Superman himself is meant as a Christ-like figure in comics. Smallville Superman goes with that theme a lot. And we also know that the law of God is written on the hearts of men. So I think some of that bleeds out in stories like this, right?
Oh, bro, 100. Like the Bible is really, it has a lot of stories, but there's one grand story, one grand narrative, which is God redeeming a people for Himself through Jesus Christ. Amen. And also spreading His kingdom across the globe and into the entire cosmos. So every story, any good story, is going to have echoes of the great story, the story of Jesus Christ. So 100%. Of the triune God, man. So listen, y'all, we love you. Thank you for rocking with us, our top 5 episodes. As you can see, we are very passionate about Smallville. It has influenced our lives for the better. We are better because of this show. And stay tuned, because we will be doing more videos about Smallville down the line. There's so much more we can talk about, more rankings. So we're excited, y'all. Stay tuned. Watch Smallville. It's on Hulu right now. all 10 episodes, or all 10 seasons, excuse me. Check it out.
It's awesome, man. And to end where we began.
You were the chosen one!
Always hold on to Smallville.
Avengers!
Assemble.